A black surgeon is handcuffed in front of his children just for the color of his skin. Can his family turn the tables to demand justice, or will the system crush them? Dr. Nathan Thompson stumbled as Sergeant Victor Malone shoved him against the patrol car, his shoulder slamming into the metal. The crowd of guests at the lakeside resort gasped, phones capturing every moment his wife, Dr. Camille Thompson, roared across the deck. "You're assaulting a surgeon in front of his family. You'll pay for this." Malone spun toward her, his face twisted with rage. "Back off, or you're next." Inside, Malone was unraveling. Last month, a video of an activist resurfaced on X mocking him for a past scandal. The Thompsons, with their luxurious cabin and confident demeanor, felt like a personal insult. He needed to win to prove he was still in control. Nathan, wrists aching from the cuffs, stared into Malone's eyes. "You're digging your own grave. Let me go, and we can end this quietly," Malone sneered. "Quietly? You don't call the shots here." Camille stepped closer, unflinching. "I'm a psychologist. I help people heal from trauma like this. You're not just hurting us, you're traumatizing our kids. For what? Your ego." Their son, 15-year-old Isaiah, held his sobbing 10-year-old sister Zoe tightly. Isaiah shouted, "You're a bully. My dad saves lives." The crowd's murmurs grew louder, their disapproval turning to outrage. But how did a family vacation turn into this nightmare? Let's rewind to the beginning to uncover the Thompsons' journey and how they stood up against injustice. The Thompson family had been counting down to this trip for months. Dr. Nathan Thompson, 35, was a renowned cardiothoracic surgeon in Atlanta. His steady hands had saved countless lives, but long hours in the operating room left little time for his family. Born in a working-class neighborhood, Nathan had overcome systemic barriers to become one of the youngest chiefs of surgery at his hospital. Success was a point of pride, but it came at a cost. Missed birthdays, school plays, and quiet evenings at home. His wife, Dr. Camille Thompson, was a clinical psychologist with a passion for justice. She ran a practice specializing in trauma, helping clients navigate the scars of discrimination and abuse. Her sharp intellect and unwavering courage made her a force, but she carried the weight of her patients' pain alongside her family's struggles. Their children, 15-year-old Isaiah and 10-year-old Zoe, were their anchors. Isaiah, a quiet teen with a knack for coding, dreamed of building apps to fight injustice. Zoe, a bubbly, aspiring gymnast, filled every room with laughter. The family chose a secluded lakeside resort in upstate New York for their getaway. Nestled among towering pines, the resort promised serenity. No pagers, no emergencies, just the Thompsons together. As they unpacked in their waterfront cabin, Nathan felt a rare lightness. Camille, reading by the window, caught his eye and smiled. For once, they were just a family, not a surgeon or a psychologist on call. The next morning, Nathan was sipping coffee on the resort's deck watching Isaiah teach Zoe how to skip stones across the lake. The air was crisp, the water mirror smooth. Then he noticed a security guard approaching, boots crunching on gravel. The guard, a burly man with a clipped voice, stopped in front of Nathan. "Sir, I need to see your reservation details. We've had reports of unauthorized guests." Nathan's jaw tightened, but he kept his tone even. "We're in cabin 17, booked for 5 nights. I can show you the confirmation email." He pulled out his phone, scrolling to the booking. The guard barely glanced at it. "I'll need to verify with the front desk. Stay here." His eyes lingered on Nathan, heavy with suspicion. Camille, overhearing from the deck, set down her coffee. "Is there an issue?" Her voice was calm, but edged with steel. "Just protocol, ma'am," the guard muttered, walking off. Nathan and Camille exchanged a glance. They'd felt this before the sting of being questioned for no reason other than their skin. Isaiah and Zoe paused their game, sensing the shift in the air. 15 minutes later, the guard returned with a colleague and a police officer. Sergeant Victor Malone, in his late 30s, carried himself with a predator's swagger. His uniform was pristine, but his eyes burned with something darker. Resentment, perhaps, or a need to prove something. Years ago, Malone had been a rising star in the department, but a botched case cost him a promotion. A black activist had accused him of excessive force, and the viral video of the incident humiliated him. Since then, he'd nursed a grudge, seeing every outsider as a threat to his authority. Nathan, in his tailored jacket and confident stance, was exactly the kind of man Malone despised. "We got a call about trespassers," Malone said, his voice low and deliberate. "Show me ID. Now." Nathan stood slowly, his 6'1" frame steady. "I've shown my reservation. We're in cabin 17. Call the front desk to confirm." Malone's lip curled. "I don't trust email's ID, or we escalate." Camille stepped beside Nathan, her psychologist's calm masking her fury. "This is harassment. We've complied. Why are you targeting us?" Malone ignored her, his gaze locked on Nathan. "You gonna make this hard, Doc?" The word Doc dripped with mockery. Isaiah, watching from the deck, clenched his fists. "Dad, what's going on?" Zoe's eyes widened, her skipping stones. "Forgotten?" Nathan pulled out his driver's license, handing it to Malone. "Here. But this stops now. We're not criminals." Malone glanced at the ID, then tossed it onto the deck like trash. "Doesn't prove you belong here." "Step away from the cabin." Camille's voice cut through the air. "You're profiling us because we're black. Admit it." Her words were a challenge, daring Malone to cross the line. Malone's face hardened, his hand inching toward his handcuffs. "Keep talking, and you'll regret it." Nathan's pulse quickened. But he stayed composed, years of high-stakes surgeries, steadying his nerves. "I'm Dr. Nathan Thompson, Chief of Surgery at Atlanta General." "Check." "My name." "You're making a mistake." Malone laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "Chief of Surgery?" "Sure, and I'm the president. Hands behind your back." The crowd of resort guests began to gather, some whispering, others pulling out phones. Isaiah grabbed Zoe's hand, his voice shaking. "They can't do this, can they?" Camille's voice thundered. "You're scaring my children. This is illegal, and we're recording every second." She held up her phone, joining the guests, now filming. Malone snapped, grabbing Nathan's arm and yanking him toward the patrol car leading to the harrowing moment you saw at the start. The resort's manager, Elena Rivera, pushed through the crowd, her face ashen. She'd been alerted by the front desk after guests started tweeting about the incident. "What's happening here?" she demanded. Camille didn't flinch. "Your staff called this officer to harass us. My husband's a surgeon and he's in cuffs for no reason. Check. Cabin 17. Dr. Nathan Thompson, booked a month ago." Elena's eyes widened. She knew Nathan's name. He'd been flagged as a VIP guest. She turned to Malone. "Release him now." Malone hesitated, his pride warring with the growing crowd. "I'm following protocol." Elena dialed the front desk, her voice sharp. "Confirm cabin 17. Seconds later, the clerk verified Dr. Nathan Thompson, 5-night stay, fully paid. The crowd's murmurs turned to outrage. A guest yelled, "Let him go!" Others chanted their phones, still recording. Malone's jaw clenched, but he saw the tide turning. He'd been burned by viral videos before. Reluctantly, he unlocked the cuffs, muttering, "This isn't over." Nathan rubbed his wrists, his gaze piercing. "Oh, it's far from over." In the resort lobby, Camille was already on the phone with her colleague, civil rights attorney Marcus Grant. We're suing the department, the resort, and that officer personally. Get the filings ready. Nathan knelt by Isaiah and Zoe, his voice steady despite the ache in his chest. I'm okay, we're okay, but we're not letting this slide. Zoe clung to him, tears staining her face. Why did he hate us? Daddy. Nathan's heart broke. He remembered being Zoe's age, stopped by cops for riding his bike in a nice neighborhood. Some people are scared of what they don't understand, he said softly. But we'll show them they're wrong. Isaiah's eyes burned with anger. I'm coding an app to report stuff like this. People need to know. Camille hugged them both, her resolve hardening. We're fighting for you, for us, for everyone who's been through this, Elena. The manager approached, wringing her hands. Dr. Thompson, we're horrified. Your stay is comped, and we'll investigate our staff. Camille's voice was ice. A free stay doesn't erase what you did. You profiled us, and you'll answer in court. An hour later, Police Chief Laura Bennett stormed into the resort, her dress uniform stark against the warm lighting. She'd been tagged in dozens of X-posts. The videos of Malone cuffing Nathan, racking up thousands of views. Her department was already a PR nightmare after recent scandals, and she wasn't about to let Malone drag them deeper. Sergeant Malone, explain yourself, she said, her voice cutting like glass. Malone straightened, but his confidence wavered. I was verifying their status, Chief. They didn't comply. Bennett interrupted. You cuffed a surgeon without evidence in front of his kids with guests filming. You've disgraced this department. She turned to Nathan and Camille, her expression sincere. I'm suspending Malone, effective immediately. Our internal affairs unit will investigate, and I'll personally ensure transparency. Nathan nodded, his voice firm. We're not stopping here. I'm contacting the DOJ. This isn't just about us. It's about every family targeted like this, Camille added. We have videos, witnesses, and a legal team. Your department and this resort will face consequences. Malone's face paled, his career crumbling. He'd dodged accountability before, but this time the evidence was ironclad. Over the next 6 months, the Thompsons' fight became a national story. Their lawsuit against the police department and the resort uncovered a pattern of profiling at the resort, with staff trained to flag suspicious guests based on race. Malone's record was exposed, 3 prior complaints of excessive force, all swept under the rug in court. Camille's testimony was electrifying. My children watched their father, a man who saves lives treated like a criminal. That trauma doesn't vanish with an apology. Nathan's calm recounting of the incident, backed by guest videos, left the jury stunned. The verdict was a landslide. Malone was fired and charged with assault and misconduct, facing up to 2 years in prison. The police department paid $2 million in damages, funding a statewide program to train officers on implicit bias. The resort settled for $105 million, which the Thompsons donated to a foundation for Black youth in STEM and the arts. Nathan used his platform to lobby for federal anti-profiling laws, speaking at conferences alongside activists. Camille expanded her practice, offering free counseling to families affected by discrimination. Isaiah's app Justice. Lens launched to crowdsourced reports of police misconduct, gaining 100,000 downloads in its first month. Zoe, inspired by her parents, started a gymnastics club to teach kids resilience through sport. The Thompsons stood together at the opening of a new community center, funded by their settlement. Isaiah's app logo glowed on a screen, and Zoe's gymnastics team performed for the crowd. Nathan addressed the audience, his voice steady but powerful. We didn't just fight for our family. We fought for every person who's been judged, silenced, or hurt because of who they are. Justice isn't a gift, it's a battle, and we're still fighting. Camille squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with pride. Isaiah and Zoe, now stronger, knew their parents had turned pain into purpose. The resort, under new management, implemented mandatory diversity training. The police department, under Chief Bennett's reforms, became a model for accountability. though the road was long. The Thompsons' story shows that courage can shatter injustice, but the fight continues. What would you do if this happened to you or someone you love? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could inspire others. Have you faced discrimination or seen it happen? Drop it below. We're listening. Subscribe to join our community for more stories of triumph and justice. Share this video on X to spread the word and hit that bell so you don't miss what's next. Together, we can build a world where no family faces what the Thompsons did. Let's make justice real.